Welcome to Driving with Dan. Me and Steven and Michael driving around talking about real life, Jesus, social issues, all sorts of fun stuff. So we're gonna talk about a little bit about some of the points from my message last night from Romans 9, specifically having to do with like what do we do with shame and failure, number one. I think everybody's experienced it, right?
Absolutely.
And how do you deal with shame, failure, feeling of inferiority, what causes that in our life? And the second thing is how do we deal with what we perceive as either people or situations that become enemies, or feel like they're combating or coming against us? I think everybody in their life has something, a situation, it could be money, it could be a job, it could be a person that they feel like has become kind of an adversary for them. And so driving with Dan today, we're going to deal with those two things. How do we deal with shame, failure, inferiority? And how do we deal with things that we perceive as enemies or adversaries in our life? The answer, of course, is not fight them, as we all want to do. Come here, you want some of this? It's like, come on. No. So let's start with the enemy part of it. In Romans 9, it's referring back to the story of the Jewish people, the people of Israel, and Pharaoh. Lots of fun movies made about that. But it actually says that Pharaoh was raised up by God himself in that time to return the people of Israel back to his name. And actually what that means is the kind of authentic, original molded design of who they were. And so, I don't know, we can talk about that, tell me what you think about that. But instead of like seeing, hands off the wheel, instead of seeing enemies and adversaries in our life as something that's always negative, this negative force coming at us, the idea that God sees it as an opportunity to actually produce a desire in us to return back to kind of what we originally designed to be and do. Kind of that gut check moment where you go, oh, yeah. Because when things are good, you don't think about it. But when things hit the fan or something's happening or somebody's coming against you, I feel like those are the moments where you go, I got to get back to what I'm supposed to be and who I was created to be and the mold in which I was made from. And you know, the idea that no weapon formed against me shall prosper. What does that mean? Well, it doesn't mean that weapons won't be formed against us, but they're not going to prosper. They're not going to succeed. Why? Because God doesn't bring that weapon or that enemy or that adversary into our lives, but he sees it coming. And he knows how to dismantle it before it can affect us. And actually, he can use it and raise it up in a way that actually allows us to succeed, to be pushed forward in a good way. I don't know, what do you think?
I think seems like what you're saying, that in all those instances of running into those tough situations with people specifically, is it like God is teaching you something in those moments? Yeah. Like it's great that you're always going to have those instances, but to go at it with grace instead of just completely submitting to emotion or whatever you're feeling in that moment, it's important.
Yeah.
It's a great teacher.
Yeah. And I mean, what other choice do you have? The other choice is to fight it and to isolate and to feel like the world's against you and to allow it to devalue you, because when things happen negatively against you, you just begin to assume after a while, if that's what you're focused on, that I'm not valuable or I'm worthless. The term we say today is, why do all these things happen to me? Well, then the next logical answer is because I'm worthless, because people don't love me, because people don't give a crap about me. Can I say that on Driving with Dan? What's the ruling?
We just did.
People don't give a crap about me, and that's why this is happening to me. And so we actually lower our value because of an adversary, when the whole time God's saying you're not valuable because of what people do to you or even what you do to yourself, but you're valuable because of who created you.
Yeah, and that's if you submit to that, you're giving power over yourself to somebody else instead of living through him.
Totally. And that answers our second question. How do we walk free of shame, fear, inferiority, all that stuff, failure? And the real answer is, in these moments, instead of allowing it to drive our value down, we allow it to drive us back to our original design and the original creator and the value that he's placed on us as the master artist, as the one that hung the stars, as the one that created the sunsets we see here in Siesta Key. And I think in those moments, it will set you free from shame, failure, feelings of inferiority when we return back to that promise and that understanding, as opposed to focusing on that enemy, adversary, whatever you want to say, that Pharaoh in our life, and realize that maybe God's raising up that Pharaoh so that we would return back to our original design. And then I think the scripture says, and that his name would be declared across the earth. I mean, that's a powerful idea.
I love the example you used with the Red Sea.
Filming while driving.
Whoa, that's dangerous. Where you talked about the Red Sea being the thing that blocked the people of God, but it ended up being the thing that freed them when it collapsed and crushed the Egyptians.
I'm not as good at this as you, especially when
I'll take it over.
Thank you.
There you go. Back to the professional.
Yeah.
You keep talking. That's what you're
yeah. So that's kind of the points from last night's message that I think resonate with me, and I think we all have situations where just like, man, we want to just whoop somebody, or we want to silence them, or we want to just, be out of a situation that just seems to have no win. And it's like when you're put in those like lose-lose situations where there is no win, what do? And if you sit there and focus on the fact that you don't feel like you can win, you're going to feel like a loser. I mean, that's real talk. I've been there. I've gone from the highest mountain to the lowest valley in 2 days. And I'm asking myself, how did I get here? Well, because I started to believe what either situations or people or things say versus what God says about me because of him and what he's done, and placing value on me with the death, burial, and resurrection of his son. So it's like returning back to a God value-based system instead of a performance-based system of measuring, who's valuable and who's worth something and who's not. So, yeah, it's good. Hope you enjoyed it. So share it with your friends. Driving with Dan and the boys with a Z, because we're bad. We're cool. Oh, yeah. We're dope. Gang signs.